Hi, I trust you all are doing well. I trust your weekend has been going well. Okay, so I'll just continue from where we stopped in the last class. And yesterday we talked about the dermis. We talked about the epidermis. We talked about the layers of the epidermis from starting from the stratum corneum to the stratum germinativum. And we said that they are the sub layers of the epidermis. There are five in numbers. So quickly we'll be talking about the dermis. I will say that the dermis is called the true skin. The dermis is also known as the true skin, and the dermis, it is 25 times more thicker than the epidermis. It comprises of many connective tissues, and it is rich in capillaries and blood vessels. It comprises of many connective tissues because it connects, this stratum germinativum to the papillary dermis. From the papillary dermis, a connective tissue connects the papillary dermis to the reticular dermis. The reticular dermis is a connective tissue that connects it to this subcutaneous layer of the skin as well. So it is rich in capillaries and blood vessels. The connective tissues found in the dermis are composed of a semi-fluid jelly-like substance containing fibroblast cells, collagens, proteins, and elastin fibers. So in the connective tissues, you have semi-fluid jelly-like substance containing fibroblast cells, the collagen, proteins, and elastin fibers. And we said that the dermis is made up of 70% of collagen. The total dermis is made up of 70% of collagen. And you find collagen both in your papillary dermis and your reticulary dermis. You find collagen there. So collagen can be found in the bones, cartilage, tendons, and other connective tissues. Like I don't know if you've eaten if you buy bone that has a joint, or chicken, for example, you buy chicken and have joint, and you open it, you see this like white substance inside that will suck. So those are collagens. Yes, so just like in the human body as well. So our connective tissues have collagen in them, and in the dermis we have 70% of collagen found in the connective tissue. So excess amount of collagen may produce thick raised scars called keloids, as well as hypertrophic scars. Hypertrophic scars are raised scars as well, not the flat scars you have on your body, like they are a bit raised high. So yes, so excess amount of collagen may produce thick raised scars. And I told you yesterday we talked about how the keloids look like, and I showed you an example that just I don't know if you can see the one I have. Yes, so I have this is really not even keloid. This is hypertrophic scar. It's just a raised above. Yes, so the ones that have keloids are always really, 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 high. They're really high. So, and naturally, the hypertrophic scars, with time, they fade away. They just dissolve and just fade away. Sometimes you have to really, cut it off, or do just partial surgery on it for you to flatten it out, or use a product to melt it out. So elastin is a fibrous protein which forms elastin tissues. Elastin aids the skin to stretch, and it also prevents sagging. So it's the elastin in our skin body that helps to prevent sagging of the body. But scars and stretch marks can destroy elastin fibers. Like if you have scars, continuous scars and stretch mark, they can destroy your elastin fibers. For example, you see in the ladies, in a woman that has given birth, because the body, the stomach stretches. So by the time she puts to bed, because by the time she puts to bed, her body can't go back, her skin can't go back to normal, because her skin has stretched, which it has, the elastin fiber there has been expanded. It has lost weight, its value, its potency. So the skin can't go back to where it used to be before. Also know that it's important to maintain elastin fiber, since the body does not readily replace it. So that's why pregnant women, you can't, when you give birth and your body, your stomach stretches, you can't go back to normal, because your body does not readily replace elastin fibers. No matter what, no matter how, your body can just it doesn't replace itself like that. Elastic fibers can be replaced in your body just like that. You have to do some kind of procedures in order for you to replace the elastic fibers in that particular place. So there are a few ways to maintain elastic fibers, since you know that your body cannot readily replace it. So you have to, we advise that you maintain your elastin fiber, so that it doesn't expand, so that it doesn't stretch it, so that it doesn't lose its potency. So one of the ways to maintain your elastin fiber in your body is by not smoking. like stop smoking, you find out that people who smoke, they tend to age easily. They have this extrinsic aging features on their body, so they tend to age easily. So smoking, it decreases your estrogen, the estrogen you need in your body. And estrogens are used to keep your body supple and firm. So when you smoke decreases the estrogen production in your body. While estrogen is meant to help you to keep your skin supple, it's meant to firm your body. So when you smoke, you kill those estrogens. Your estrogens are not being secreted properly. Okay, so the next one is wear sunscreens at all time. Wear sunscreens to prevent premature aging, to prevent extrinsic aging. And extrinsic aging has to do with, when you expose yourself to UV rays and you don't have sunscreen on, so you begin to have fine lines, you begin to have sagging skin. You see someone who is still in her 20s and she's already looking like someone who is 40s because she's aging, she's having an extrinsic aging breakdown effect on her skin. So you need to, wear sunscreen all the time to protect yourself and protect your skin from UV rays and UVBs and UVA's rays. So also, exercise and eat well. Exercise and eat right. When you exercise, you tone your muscles. When you exercise, you tone your muscles, you firm your muscles. So exercise and eat well. When you fail to exercise, and you may probably these people who don't exercise and they say they are watching their diet, they are losing weight. Find out that even when they lose weight, their body becomes saggy. Their skin is not firm. But when you exercise, you protect, you maintain your elastin fiber in your body. When you continue, your continuous exercise helps maintain your elastin fiber. Do you understand? So exercise well, eat properly, eat balanced diet, eat nutritious food, eat food that are high in collagen, that can boost the collagen in your body. Also, stay hydrated. Always stay hydrated. Drink water. You know that water does a whole lot of things in our body. Water makes our skin look supple. Water helps for metabolism. So drink a lot of water at all times. Stay hydrated. If you don't want water, you can drink juice, drink whatever liquid that whatever liquid that works for you is fine. So just make sure you stay hydrated all the time. Also, another very interesting way to the elastin fiber is by doing medical procedures, which estheticians now offer, by doing botulinum, by doing treadmill, the derma-free, sorry, the fillers. Yes, that's what I'm trying to remember. Sorry. So by doing botulinum, by injecting botulinum toxins into your body, by doing PDO threads, by doing dermal fillers. Yes, that's what I wanted to remember. By doing dermal fillers, so you can help to maintain your elastin profile, maintain the elastin fiber in your body. Okay, so moving forward, we talked about mast cells, and we say mast cells are located in the dermis. Mast cells are located in the dermis, and they are responsible for allergens. They're responsible for allergens. For example, if you eat something that your body is allergic to, because everybody's body have what they react to. If you eat a food, or you get stung by by a bee or by an insect, and your body is not cool with it, immediately your mast cell comes out and say, oh yes, and identifies the foreign substance that just penetrated your body, or the bacteria that has invaded your body, and the mast cell begins to fight it. In presence of fighting it, it begins to release granules, which are called histamines. So your mast cells, and that we said that cells naturally, one of their functions is that they help to fight antibodies in our body. They help to fight bacteria in our body. When bacteria invades our body, cells are there to fight bacteria in the body. So the mast cells are what are responsible to fighting all allergic reactions, allergens that penetrate our body. So, and when they fight those allergens, they release granules that are forms of histamines. And when a client comes to you and she has she just have breakouts. For for the client, she feels she just have breakouts because they come out and they're rough and they look like whiteheads. How you can tell that, okay, these are allergens is by taking a look at the breakouts. One, just when the histamines begins to release, begin to bring out allergens. The spots you have on your face, or the roughages you have on your face, the breakouts you have on your face, most times they don't have pores. they're just like sand. Sometimes they elevate so as much as they look like white heads, but most time they don't have pores in it. They're just like granules. You understand? You touch them, they are rough. They don't. You can tell that okay, these things are not caused by white heads because they don't even have, they don't have pores in them. They don't have oils in them. They just secretion of you know histamines. So what you can do is you put the person on Benadryl. If it's topical, you give the person Benadryl topical product to apply. If it's from the inside, you can give the person Benadryl oral drug to take as well. So the Benadryl is an antihistamine product that is used to treat histamines that are allergics. So next one is that there are two dermal layers. The dermis has two layers. The dermis has two layers. One is the reticular dermis and the papillary dermis. The reticular dermis and the papillary dermis. So the reticular dermis has to do with your glands, and the papillary dermis has to do with your receptors. So the papillary dermis lies beneath the epidermis, just below the stratum germinativum. You find your papillary dermis. So it is rich in blood vessels. Like we said, that dermis generally are rich in blood vessels and capillaries, which helps to produce nutrients to the upper layer of the skin. It's from the epidermis gets its nutrient from the dermis, just like we talked about in the previous class, that the epidermis, they get their nutrient from the dermis since all the cells in the epidermis are dead. So nutrients are being sent from the dermis straight up to the epidermis. Okay, so the papillary dermis house these different sensory nerves endings called receptors. So in your papillary dermis, you have receptors. Apart from the capillaries and the blood vessels found in the papillary dermis, we also have sensory nerves endings called receptors. And one of the receptors we have in the papillary dermis is the pain receptor. And the pain receptor, they are free from nerve endings, and they are not associated with cells. Like they are not they don't have cells in them. So the pain receptor detects extreme temperatures. The pain receptors, they are responsible for they react to extreme temperatures. When the weather is really cold, your pain receptor will react. So they react to extreme temperatures. They react to mechanical surface injuries, e.g. microdermabrasion. Like if you do microdermabrasion for a client and she feels a bit of pain, she feels like a form of discomfort, is your pain receptor that is telling her that okay, something is happening on your face. They detect high level chemical peels. When you apply chemical peel on your face and begins to sting you, so your pain receptor it's what detects those kind of discomforts that happens on the body. So the next one is the thermoreceptor. Thermoreceptor, just as the word thermo, it has to do with temperatures. Your thermoreceptor has to do with temperatures. Thermoreceptor, they also have free nerve endings, and cold receptor outnumber the heat receptor. So in your thermoreceptor, you have both cold receptor and heat receptor. They are found in your thermoreceptor. Also know that the thermoreceptor has no nerve ending. So the cold receptor outnumbers the heat receptor by 3 to 4 times. Yes, 3 to 4 times they outnumber. So they are more, you have more cold receptor than heat receptor in your thermoreceptor. So your thermoreceptor responds when the temperature is changing and adapt quickly when the temperature stabilizes. So when you go to a particular place and when you're in your house and the weather is really cold, your thermoreceptor immediately changes and make so that your body and your skin can be able to adapt to that temperature. And as soon as you go to a particular temperature, a particular environment where the temperature is suitable for your skin, it stabilizes immediately. So that's why it's that you can get cold, you can get warm, you can get hot, you can get your body temperature changes due to environment, due to the weather condition where you are at that particular time. So your thermoreceptor is responsible for such changes in your body. So the next one is the mechanoreceptors. The mechanoreceptors, just like you hear, mechanoreceptors. So these receptors help for sense stretching. compression or twisting of the skin. So they are responsible, for example, when you do workout, so your mechanoreceptors are responsible for all those stretches you do, for twisting of the skin. People who dance ballet, people who jump up and down, when you go to the gym and you're doing strength exercise and all of that. So when you stretch and you do all of those exercises, so your mechanoreceptors, they are the ones who say, okay, yes, this person is actually doing an activity that has to stretch and all of that. And when you feel all those pains and all of that, your mechanoreceptors are responsible for that. So the next one is the tactile receptors. The tactile receptors, they respond to gentle touch, pressure, and vibration. When you touch somebody, when you touch somebody, gentle touch, you just rub someone and someone feels the sensation. For example, you're doing a massage for someone and the person begins to feel this tingling feeling and all of that. So your tactile receptors are responsible for those kind of touches and those kind of sensations. So we have four main receptors in the dermal layer of the skin. We have four main receptors in the dermal layer of the skin, and the first one is the Meissner's corpuscle. So the Meissner's corpuscle, they respond to light pressure and cold receptor. The Meissner's corpuscle, they respond to light pressure and cold receptors. Yes, they respond to light pressure and cold receptors. The next one is the Ruffini's corpuscles. So the Ruffini's corpuscles, they respond to long pressure. So it's between light pressure and long pressure. Light pressure is when you just touch somebody gradually. So but long pressure means that you're touching someone gradually, but for a very long period of time, can be there for 2 hours. So your Ruffini's corpuscles are what makes you withstand that kind of pressure. So Ruffini's corpuscles are responsible for long pressure and heat receptors. Long pressure and heat receptors. The next one is the Pacinian corpuscles. The Pacinian corpuscles are responsible for deep pressure and pain receptors. Deep pressure and pain receptors. While your the last one is Krause's end bulbs. Krause's end bulb, and the Krause's end bulbs are responsible for pressure and pain receptors as well. They're responsible for pressures and pain receptors as well. So quickly, we'll be going straight to the reticular dermis. Remember, we said that we have two different layers of dermis in the different layers of dermis. We have the papillary dermis and the reticular dermis, and we said that the papillary dermis is responsible for your sensory nerves, where you have your different type of receptors. Okay, so the reticular dermis is responsible for your glands. In the reticular dermis, you have your glands. So the reticular dermis is the lowest of your dermis, close to the subcutaneous layer. Yes, it's the lowest of your dermis, close to your subcutaneous layer. It's just the layer before you get to your subcutaneous layer. So your reticular dermis, it contains fewer blood vessels. You don't have so much blood vessels in your reticular dermis because they are close to the subcutaneous layer, and your subcutaneous layer, you don't have blood vessels there. So they contain fewer blood vessels. They also contain collagen and elastin fibers that provides the skin with its strength and flexibility. So the reticular dermis comprises of sweat gland, oil gland, hair follicle, lymph vessels, and erectopili muscles. So let me take that again. In your reticular dermis, it comprises of your sweat glands, your oil glands, your hair follicle, your lymph vessels, and erectopili muscles. While in the papillary dermis, your papillary dermis contains collagens, fibroblast cells, elastin fibers, right? Yes. So in your reticular dermis, you have sweat glands, oil glands, hair follicles, lymph vessels, and erectopili muscles. So the first one I'll be talking about is the sudoriferous gland, also known as your sweat gland. So your sudoriferous gland, also known as your sweat gland. So your sudoriferous gland is a mixture of water, urea, electrolytes, and lactic acid. Amazing, right? Yes, your sweat gland comprises of water, urea, electrolytes, and lactic acid. And that's why when you taste the sweat, it's salty because of the electrolytes in it. It has, different kind of funny taste. Yes, so it comprises of not just water, it comprises of electrolytes and lactic acid. And the lactic acid is used to nourish the skin. It helps to moisturize the skin, and that's why I always advise people. I don't know which course I think it was in personal or professional development, that we said that people need good ventilation. You just don't go from AC from your house to your car AC, from to your office AC. Sometimes you need to sweat, and that's why I say exercise is good, because you need to let out steam, you need to sweat, you need to allow your sweat to come out, because when you sweat, not only will you tone your muscles, it will also help to nourish your skin. Okay, so sometimes you need that sweat, you need the heat. All those people that say they don't do house chores, I wonder how they cope. And they just feel cool there. So if you don't have a healthy body, your skin will not glow. You need to sweat it out. You need to, your body, let me use the word reproduce. Let your body sweat out, take out the toxins from your body so that new ones can come back, you can produce new ones. So you need to sweat all the time, because now you know that your body your sweat contains lactic acid, and lactic acid, is good for the skin. It helps to hydrate the skin. Okay, so the sudoriferous glands consist of a cord-based and tube-like duct opening. It consists of a cord-based, like tube-like opening on the surface of the skin that forms the sweat pore. So from your sudoriferous gland, which is found in your reticular dermis, it's a cord-based tube-like from there. So it comes all the way, passes through the hair follicle, comes to the top layer of the skin, that's your epidermis, comes out as a sweat pore. So you see those pores you have on your skin, those are your sweat pores. So there are two types of sweat glands. There are three, but there are two common type of sweat glands. We have the endocrine glands and the apocrine glands. So we have the endocrine glands and the apocrine glands. So the endocrine glands, I'll talk about the apocrine glands first. So the apocrine glands these are located under the armpit. You can find them under your armpits, your genitals, and your nipple. Yes, you find your apocrine glands there. So and your apocrine glands, they secrete an odorless substance. Yes. So this is very interesting, So your apocrine gland, naturally they secrete an odorless substance. So they don't the sweat that comes out of your apocrine gland, they don't smell naturally. They don't have odor naturally. It's when it's trying to fight bacteria that invade those areas. So when your sweat mixes with those bacteria that invade those areas, that is when you begin to have odor. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's take what we have here. They say your apocrine gland are the sweat glands located under the arms, in the genitals, and the nipples. These glands secrete an odorless substance, which is triggered by emotions rather than by hormones. Yes, so your sweat glands, there's something like, probably once in a while your hormones can trigger, you sweat, and that's like it's not a constant thing. But what makes you sweat constantly is your emotions. For example, now I'm sweating gradually. Why? Because I'm talking, and as I'm talking, my blood is pumping, even though the house is well ventilated. But because I'm doing something, emotions, understand, so it makes me sweat. So for example, even when I'm not even talking, I'm just sitting and I'm thinking, like I'm making use of my brain, I'm thinking, I'm just lost in thoughts, I can't sweat because emotionally I'm stressing myself. Do you understand? So you sweat based on emotions, not hormones. Okay, so these secretions eventually develop an odor as they attack bacteria on the surface of the skin, like I said. So for example, the genital area, now we go to the restroom, we urinate, definitely there are always bacteria in the restroom, that's in your toilets, there are always bacteria laying there, so you go there, you urinate, even though you rinse your VV. So but for the fact that you've exposed that place to the bacteria, so the odor that comes out naturally and the bacteria, they mix together and they have a particular smell. And that's why I see that everybody have a particular odor in their apocrine area, even your armpit. People have smell because you sweat and bacteria, because you won't wash your armpit every 5 seconds. While you close your armpit and you leave it like that for like almost the whole day, different bacteria can go there. Even the clothes you are wearing itself, there are 1 or 2 bacteria there. So those bacteria will mix with your sweat from your sweat gland, and that's what gives you that odor in your armpit. But naturally, your body doesn't secrete bad odor. Okay, so this is the odor associated with perspiration. These are the only sweat glands that tend to associate with the hair follicle and are not a major concern for the skincare professional. So all these glands are actually not they are not associated with hair follicles, and they are not our concern. They are not the concern of a skincare professional. So we have in the textbook that when you exercise your muscles need more nutrients. When you exercise, I don't know who when we exercise you feel more hungry, like you empty your bowl, everywhere is empty, your stomach is empty. Even if you eat before exercising, as soon as you're done with exercise, I think you should eat a whole bowl of rice, like you're hungry. So you need more nutrients, and there is an increase in the blood flow to the muscles and to the skin. Yes, as you continue to exercise, there's an increase in the amount of heat that the muscle produces, causing the diameter of the dermal vessels to increase, to dilate. This is what causes you to perspire, that bring out smell, because your body worked heat and all of that. Excuse me. So the evaporation of the sweat that accumulates on the skin during exercise cools the surface of the skin. The evaporation of the sweat that accumulates on the skin during exercise cools the surface of the skin, and it nourishes the skin because they have lactic acid in it. Okay, I know that water also is a very good form of moisturization. So at the same time, heat is lost from the warmed blood circulation in the dermal vessels. So moving forward quickly, we'll be talking about the second gland, which is the endocrine gland. So the endocrine gland are the sweat glands located throughout the entire body and are most abundant on the forehead. So your endocrine glands are located throughout your entire body. We sweat in every area of our body, even on the scalp of our head we sweat. But for your apocrine gland, the only places where you have your apocrine gland is your armpit, your nipple, and your genital area. But every other part of your body has to do with your endocrine glands. Both your palm of your hand, the sole of your feet, your head, your face, your whatever area of your body has to do with the endocrine gland. So, and they said that it's most abundant on the forehead, the palms of the hands, and the sole of the feet. Your endocrine gland is most abundant of your forehead, the palm of your hand, and the sole of your feet. This type of sweat gland opens directly onto the skin surface through pores that are not associated with hair follicles. Antonia, can you hear me? So they said that this type of sweat gland opens directly onto the skin surface through pores that are not associated with hair follicles. And I remember you asking me in the previous class that, I can't remember your question, that when I said that hair follicles are found where you have skin or something like that. Yes, that was said when you have skin and it's not found in the palm of your hand. Pause. I think it was pause or something. Hair follicles. I really don't remember your question, but yeah. But basically, now that you don't have, pause. You don't have pause in your palm and the sole of your feet because you don't have hair follicles there. Okay. So what makes you sweat in your palm and the sole of your feet is the sweat glands located there. Okay, yes, it's very confusing. I understand it's very confusing that, okay, how come I sweat and they're not pores? But really, they're not pores. They're not pores on the sole of your hand and on your palm, the palm of your hand and the sole of your feet. But what makes you sweat there is the hair follicle that what makes you there is the sweat gland located there. Okay, so endocrine glands are the type of sweat glands associated with skincare treatment and will be more of major concern to skincare professionals. So endocrine gland is the major gland that estheticians are concerned about. We have in the box that the glands of the body are classified by where the secretions of the glands are placed. Endocrine glands, like the thyroid glands, release their secretions, hormones, into the blood and are known as ductless glands. So endocrine glands are known as ductless glands. Like the sweat gland and sebaceous gland in the skin, exocrine glands release their secretions into the ducts. These ducts deposit the glandular secretions of the surface of the skin. So endocrine glands basically influenced by the sympathetic nervous system. Your endocrine glands are influenced by the sympathetic nervous system, which produces physiologically responses such as increased heart rate, blood flow, sweating, and fast respiration. This means that endocrine glands are most active when the body is subject to physical activity and high temperature. So basically your endocrine gland is associated with your sympathetic nervous system. For example, when you're stressed, when you're exercising, your blood will flow fast. When you're thinking, when you're meditating, your heart beats fast, so that causes you to sweat, so that causes your endocrine gland to be active. So endocrine glands are primarily responsible for thermoregulations. They're primarily responsible for thermoregulation. So they're basically what make you get cold and what make you get hot. Like they're responsible for both hot and cold weather. Okay, hot and cold temperature. So they are responsible for thermoregulation or lowering body temperature. If the body overheats, large quantities of sweat are secreted onto the skin surface. So when you are hot, when you feel hot, when you feel, when you're panicked and all of that, you release a whole lot of, sweat onto the surface of your skin. So you have probably noticed that when it is cold, you get goosebumps. Goosebumps are caused by contraction of erectopili muscles that are connected to each hair follicle. When the muscle contracts, it causes the hair to stand on end. This tends the skin with the hair in the center of the bump. Erectopili muscles also push sebum from the glands towards the openings of the hair. Listen, erectopili muscles, they also push sebum, that's oil, from the glands towards the openings of the hair follicles. In most mammals, the erectopili muscles contract reflexively in response to cold to release the thickness of insulating coat. So sebaceous glands continually produce and secrete sebum, a complex mixture of fatty substances. So sebaceous glands, just as you know, sebum, and they secrete sebum, a complex mixture of fatty substances. That's your oil. They produce oil, which is a complex mixture of fatty substances. Also known as oil glands, they are located in the dermis and are distributed all over the surface of the body, except in the palm of the hands and on the sole of the feet, because as we said again, they don't have pores and they don't have hair follicles, so they can't secrete sebum in these areas. They can't secrete sebum in your palm and the sole of your feet. All that comes out in your palm and the sole of your feet is just sweat. Okay, so but you have the other part of your body where you have pores, where you have hair follicle. Sebaceous glands, secrete sebum through those openings to the surface of your skin. So the largest number of sebaceous glands is found on the forehead, nose, and back. And that's why I say that most people, even people with normal skin, they tend to have excess sebum in their forehead and their nose, and that's why we say the T section, do you understand? T zones, yes, your T zones. So it's more prominent, it separates more sebum at your T zones and your back. And as I see some people, like for example, my younger brother, he sweats at his back. Like if he's sweating at his back, you think maybe they poured water on him. Like he's very prominent. He sweats a whole lot at his back. Okay, so yes, so that's why also you see some people, they have pimples at their back. I think we're talking about something, and Becky said someone has pimples break out at the back or at the chest. Yes, people tend to break out at their back. Like I've seen someone's back and I'm like, what the hell, with blackheads and all of that. So because their back tends to secrete a whole lot of sebum, which is oil. So the largest number of sebaceous glands is found on the forehead, nose, and back. Sebaceous glands are attached to the upper third of a hair follicle. They are attached to the upper third. So if you see the diagram by the side, you see that you have your subcutaneous layer, you have your sudoriferous gland, sweat gland, which we said is a tube-like, and it's tube-like, and it's twisted together and comes up to the epidermis. So then you see your sebaceous gland by the side as well. So you can see that your sebaceous gland is very close to your epidermal layer. Yes, so they said the sebaceous glands are attached to the upper third of a hair follicle. So you can see your hair follicle close to your subcutaneous layer, and you can see that your sebaceous gland is attached to upper third, that's up above your hair follicle, and are 2 to 3 times larger around facial hair follicles that they are around scalp hair follicles. This is why breakouts tend to happen more often on the face rather than the scalp, because they are very close to the, for the facial hair follicle, your sebaceous gland is very close to your hair, very close to your hair follicles. So that's why people tend to break out all the time compared to your scalp. The sebaceous gland is located way beneath your hair follicle. Okay, so the amount of sebum produced by the sebaceous glands is influenced by androgens, and you know that androgens are, that has to be hormones. They are found in the human body and they are more prominent in men. So yes, a male hormone present in both men and women. We talked about that. I don't know if we talked about that in this class, but yes, androgens are what helps, they trigger your hormones, and they're more prominent. You find them more in men, and women that have more androgens, they are the ones who tend to have beards in their face. They tend to have more features of men. Okay, so it is common to find larger sebaceous glands in men than women. Yes, just like I just explained. Sebaceous glands, in addition to sudoriferous glands, are considered appendages of the skin. The sebaceous gland and the sudoriferous gland are considered the appendages of the skin. They are part of the things that make up the skin. They help to nourish the skin. They help to make the skin feel healthy. And again, I'm going back again, please always try to sweat once in a while. It's good for your body. Now you know. In as much as some people say, oh no, I don't want to sweat, sometimes you just need to let it out. Let the steam out. You see that in civilized country, like all these places where they do in abroad, where they do summer and all of winter and all of that. After winter, during summer, I see people going to the beach, people tanning their skin, like they want to sweat, they want to feel the heat, they want it, because they know that it will help for their skin to be nourished, it will help for their skin to glow well. You can't just stay and say you're staying in winter or in a cold environment for all the rest of your life. Your skin needs, you need to sweat it out. Okay, so adult skin contains 2 to 5 million sweat glands. Adult skin contains 2 to 5 million sweat glands, with the palm of the hands and sole of the feet having an estimated 500 sweat glands per square centimeter. So we have a whole lot of sweat glands located in every part of our body. So the sebaceous glands originated in the dermis, which we know that the sebaceous gland is found in the dermis, especially is majorly found in your reticular dermis. Yes, so so your sebaceous gland is originated in the dermis, open onto the surface of the skin, and produce and release sebum to condition the surrounding skin. Sebum mixes with the secretion of the sweat gland, creates a layer of oil and moisture called the acid mantle. So your acid mantle is a mixture of your sebaceous gland and your sweat gland. So it's a mixture of both sweat and oil. And we know that your sweat gland is originated as what makes up your sweat gland is what? Water, urea, electrolyte, and lactic acid. So for your acid mantle, what makes up your acid mantle? First of all, we have your sweat gland, we have water, urea, we have electrolyte, your acid mantle, we have mixture of sebum. All this coming together, that's what now when we now get carbon, sulfur, and all of that makes up the acid mantle. So when the pH, potential hydrogen, see chapter 7 chemistry of the skin, is measured, it is actually the acid mantle that is being identified, which has a natural pH of 4.5 to 5.5. The acid mantle protects the skin from bacterial invasion by creating an acidic environment that is hostile and bacterial growth. The acid mantle protects the skin from bacterial invasion, from bacteria invading our skin, bacteria invading into our body by creating an acidic environment. An acid, bacteria can't live on acid, they will die. If you put acid on that's why we use acid to wash our toilet. We use hypo and all of that to wash your toilet so that they can kill the bacteria that is there, so they can't live, they can't stay on acid. So the acid mantle, they protect the skin from bacteria by creating an acidic environment that is hostile to bacterial growth. So we can't overemphasize the fact why you don't have to strip your skin of its acid mantle, both in your genital area and in your on your skin. Like, you don't have to use harsh product to strip off your acid mantle, because you know that you're going to be endangering your skin. You're going to make your skin susceptible to bacteria. Okay. So besides the sudoriferous and sebaceous gland, other appendages extension of the skin includes the hair and the nails. So hair follicles covers the entire body except for the palms of the hands and sole of the feet. You already know that. Hair growth rate increases with androgen production. Yes, like if your body secretes a lot of androgen, your hair will grow well, particularly on the trunk of the body. Yes, the amount of hair on the body depends on genetics and hormonal changes. Hormones, yes, because hormonal changes, some people, you get to a particular age and they begin to have bald hair, they begin to have alopecia. Yes, when you get to a particular age, because of hormones, their hormones is changing. You understand? You know, there are some things, some drugs you will take that will affect your hormonal, that make your hormone to be imbalanced, you know, and it begins to affect how your hair grows or how your nail grows. And that's why you see some people begin to take hormonal drugs. So hormones also affect the thickness and quantity of hair on the scalp and face, particularly in women during menopause. Yes, because when you get to menopause, your hormones changes. Yes, they change to another level. Okay. So the subcutaneous layer, which is the last layer. Actually, so I was going to talk about dermis alone, but I'm in the spirit, even though if I'm not here with me. So just the subcutaneous layer, and that's it. So we'll do skincare when we come to class. And please, your assignments, just not assignment, sorry, yeah, assignment to come later. Questions, as I want to say. So just write out your questions. Listen to this video over and over again. Write out your questions. When you come on Monday, we will just trash the questions out and go straight to skincare. Okay, so your subcutaneous, and please, before you come to the class, read. Don't just come and start asking me one question or the other. Read, and don't waste our time. If you know that you know, if you've read and you feel that okay, yes, it's well explanatory, please let us just move straight to the other class, because we're using data. This is not an on-site class, so we need to try to trim our class. We need to try to be more productive. Okay, but if you have questions, in fact, if you have questions, I'll appreciate it if you can send it to me before the class. If you can send it across to me before the class, as a voice note, as a WhatsApp message, as a video, whichever way, I'll appreciate it. So that way I could just treat it before we come back to the class. Do you understand? So that way we save our time, we save our data. About 15 gig. This is not even up to a week and it's done. So yeah, please. So moving forward, subcutaneous layer. So the subcutaneous layer, also called the subcutis or the subdermis, as we know, is located beneath the dermis, which you also know because we have 3 layers of the skin. We have the epidermis, we have the dermis, and the subcutaneous layer. After the epidermis, you have your sub layers, starting from your stratum corneum to your stratum germinativum. From your stratum germinativum, we get to your dermis, and your dermis, you have 2 layers. You have the reticular dermis and the papillary dermis. And the papillary dermis comes before the reticular dermis. So after reticular dermis, you have your subcutaneous layer. So your subcutaneous layer is located below the dermis and is composed primarily of adipose fatty tissues. Yes, it's composed of adipose fatty tissues, fats, just fats. The body's cushioning acts as a shock absorber and insulator to protect the bones and helps support other delicate structures. So it serves as a cushion. It helps to protect the internal organs. So and that's one beautiful thing about the skin. People have accidents, and you find out that no matter how dangerous how severe the accident is, sometimes it doesn't affect any organs of their body. You're like, wow, but this accident was really severe. Why? Because before it will get to that layer, before that your organs can be affected, it has to pass through your epidermis, it has to pass through the layers of your epidermis, it has to pass through your dermis, your reticular layer, before it passes through your subcutaneous layer. And your subcutaneous layer, you have fat, like, so you have a whole lot of cushion before you now get to your organs. So before you get even to your bones, you haven't got to the organ, before you get to your bones, do you understand? So your subcutaneous layer, they serve as cushion, they serve as a barrier, as a protective barrier from the outside. You said already that the skin, it serves as a protector from it protects your internal organ, it keeps all this inside in and keeps us outside out. Okay, so The subcutaneous layer also contains some components of the sweat glands. It contains some components of the sweat glands and some sensory nerves that recognizes touch, pressure, and temperature. But it's mainly composed of adipose cells and loose connective tissue. So basically, when I hear subcutaneous layer, what just comes to my mind is fat, 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 fat everywhere. Okay. In as much as we have few sweat glands, found there, we have we have few sweat glands found in your subcutaneous layer. So depending on genetics, nutrition, exercise, and the general health of the body, varying amounts of fat cells are found in subcutaneous layer. Yes, those people now that weigh 45 kg, that they are not as fat as this. The subcutaneous layer, their fat, their subcutaneous layer won't be as, the fat found in their subcutaneous layer won't be as much as someone weighing 115 kg. All right. So what you eat will determine how much fat you have in your subcutaneous layer. Your diet will determine how much fat you will have in your subcutaneous layer. So what you eat, the fat you eat, those nutrients, they go and store at your subcutaneous layer. That's why you see when you pull your skin, you feel collagen first, then after collagen, that's the collagen found in your dermis. After the collagen, the other thing you feel is fat. They are found in your subcutaneous layer. Okay. So they said depending on genetics. Genetics in the sense that some people in their family, all of them are fat, so they spread it like that. Everybody fat in their family. So nutrition, what you eat, exercise. If you exercise often, you tone your muscles, you become fit, so the fat in your body won't be as much as someone who doesn't exercise. Okay. So, and the general health of your body, varying amounts of fat are found in the subcutaneous layer. The adipose tissue cells of this layer give contour and shape to the body and serve as an emergency reservoir for nutrients and water, as well as an energy source. So let me take that again. The adipose tissue cells of this layer gives contour and shape. If you eat a lot and you have a lot of adipose tissue, people with their big stomach, they have a lot of adipose tissue, so it gives them the big stomach because of they have a lot of fat. So some people, they have more fat in their bum. Some people have more fat in their, different parts of their body. So depending on how you eat and depending on how many fat you have in your subcutaneous layer will determine your shape. Do you understand? So your adipose tissue basically helps to give you the contour and shape of the body. Okay. So, and those people that don't have fat, those people that are thin, pelenge that they call them, they don't have shape. They're just there, some are just like stick because there's no fat. So there's no fat in the subcutaneous layer. There's not enough. There's fat too, but there's not enough fat to give them that contour, that shape, that figure shape. Do you understand? So yeah, so they said the adipose tissue cells of this layer gives contour and shape to the body and serves as an emergency reservoir for nutrients and water. Yes, and you find out that as well as an energy source. You find out that yes, that sometimes you don't eat and you really don't feel hungry because your nutrients, you have some saved nutrients saved in your reservoir in your subcutaneous tissue you get in your subcutaneous layer. And that's why I see that some people, when you're losing weight, what happens is that the fat in your subcutaneous layer begins to secrete nutrients, begins to give out nutrients, and you begin to lose weight, you begin to shrink. Do you understand? So yes, at first you might have a whole lot of fat in your subcutaneous layer, but as you change your diet and you begin to lack nutrients, so the nutrient that is saved in your subcutaneous layer begin to come as in release nutrients out. Your subcutaneous layer begins to release nutrients out so that you can have energy, can have stamina to carry out whatever activities you want to carry out. Okay, so subcutaneous fat storage is partly controlled by hormones, which accounts for some of the differences in the body contouring between men and women, and our decrease in size as we age. The subcutaneous layer gives skin its independence of movement. Subcutaneous tissue, a collection of different cells, separates skin from muscles. So your subcutaneous layer is what separates your skin from your muscles. That after your skin you have your muscles, right? So after your skin you have your muscles. So after your subcutaneous layer you begin to have muscles before you have your bone. right? So yeah, so your subcutaneous layer. So yes, there's something I want to say. So they said the subcutaneous layer, the fats, the subcutaneous fat storage is partially controlled by hormones. Yes, you know that. I don't know if you've seen women who were very fat when they were younger, and they get to, when they get to old age, like when they get to a particular part of kind of a particular age, they begin to shrink. It's hormones. Slim just begin to shrink. They just begin to lose weight. While some people were really very slim when they were younger, and they get to old age and begin to add weight. Like they begin to, get add weight. Like my mom now, she's just adding weight, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? Even though she wants to control it, but because of her hormones, she gets to a particular stage whereby her hormones are just making her, add weight. So it depends on your hormones, depends on your hormonal level. So you get to a particular age, you can help make you can either add weight or you can either lose weight. I know that the hormone works in a very funny way. Some people might have acne when they were young, and you get to a particular age and everything just vanishes. You don't even use anything. So the way your people hormones work, it varies depending on your nutrients, your lifestyle, depending on what you eat, depending on the kind of drugs you take, depending on the kind of life you lived at a particular stage in your life. Okay. So we have the tissue types. So we're just going to talk quickly about the tissue types. So we said there are 5 types of tissue found in the skin. The 5 types of tissue which we know found in the skin. We have the epithelial tissue, the connective mensile. Yeah, we're back to mensile, one of our favorite acronyms. We have the epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, the muscular, the nervous, and the liquid tissue. So epithelial for epidermis, connective for the dermis. We said in the dermis you have your connective tissues, and with your connective tissues you have your you have collagens, fibers, you have elastins, blood vessels, capillaries, right? So yes, so you have your connective tissues found in the dermis, you have your muscular tissues found in your muscles, you have your nerves found in your nerves, your sensory nerves, and you have your liquid found in your blood, liquid found in blood and lymph. Okay, for example of connective tissues include collagen and elastin, which we all know, we said that already. Then your connective tissue, you have collagen and elastin fibers which attach the dermis to the subcutaneous tissues. You attach the dermis to the subcutaneous tissues. So next we have the ligaments, and the ligaments which hold bones to other bones to form joints. You know that now, that ligaments, what joins bones together is ligaments. Bone joint, bone to bone is ligament. So tendons which tie muscles to bones. Yeah. Then cartilage which lines the part of the bones that would otherwise rub against each other in joints. It lines part of the bones that will otherwise rub against each other in the joint. Okay, so yes. So we have cells or cell types. We have cells. So I won't take this one. I think we should do it in the class. Yes. So these cells are cell type. Yes, it's something they are what we've talked about. They just put them in tabular form. Yes, so we have cells or cell types. We have cells or cell types and their function. They're actually what we just talked about now. The fibroblasts, they produce collagen and elastin. Your fibroblast cells, they found in your connective, in your dermis. They produce collagen and fiber and elastin. Your adipocytes, adipose tissues, the ones found in your subcutaneous layer. They contain fat used for energy production, also found in your subcutaneous layer. Just like I just said, you have your mast cells. They are responsible for allergic stimuli. They respond to allergic stimuli. They produce histamines. They contain granules that produce histamines. Yes, you have your macrophages. So macrophages, they surround the digestive foreign substances with white blood cells. So they are part of things that form your white blood cell. So you have your lymphocytes. Your lymphocytes, just like the word says, lymph, they carry lymph nodes around the body. You have your macrophages. So we have macrophages and microphages. Macrophages they digest foreign substances. They have to do with the white blood cell. While the microphages, they fight infections. They are also found in your white blood cells, because the white blood cells are part of the things that fight infections. So you have your categories of receptors. I've talked about different types of receptors. It's a pity that people are not alive now that I would have asked you this question. So you have your receptors, you have your mesnas, corpuscles, we have Categories of receptors different from types of receptors. Okay, yeah. So I must mix that. So categories of receptors different from types of receptors. So categories of receptors are your pain receptors, your thermoreceptors, your mechanoreceptors, and your tactile receptors. Yes. So we have the pain receptors. They respond to pain. Free nerves ending not associated, and they are not associated with cells. You said they are not, those cells are fine there. So thermoreceptors, they respond to temperature changes, and they don't have free nerves ending as well. And they are not, yes, they don't have free nerves ending as well. So we have the and your thermoreceptors, you have both hot and cold, the receptors, and we said that the cold receptors are 3 to 5 times more than the heat receptors. So we have the mechanoreceptors. The mechanoreceptors respond to stimuli that distort cell membranes, stretching, compressing, twisting. We have your pressure receptors. Your pressure receptors report the degree of mechanical distortion and the amount of weight, like weight, pressure, weight. So they respond to degree of mechanical distortion and the amount of weight. We have your tactile receptors. The tactile receptors, they report fine touch, pressure, and vibration. Looks like you said that they give that sensation when you're doing massage for a client, when you're doing facial massage for a client. So we have the types of receptor, and we have the Messner's corpuscles, we have the Ruffini's corpuscles, we have the Pacinian corpuscles, and we have the Krause's and Bob's corpuscles. So the Messner's corpuscles, they report light, pressure, and cold. The Ruffini's corpuscles, they report long-term pressures and heat. Then the Pacinian's corpuscle, they report deep pressure and pain. And the what's the last one? Krause's and Bob, they report pressure and pain as well. So we have types of skin cells. Types of skin cells. We have epithelial cells. The epithelial cells are found in the epidermis, and they cover and they serve as protection for the skin, for the body. They cover and they serve as protection for the body. So the keratinocytes, they are found throughout the epidermis. We talked about it, that the keratins, the epidermis produces keratin. You have keratins all over your epidermis. They produce pigments. They produce keratin, majority of cells in epidermis. So if you have the melanocyte is found in the stratum germinativum. Yeah, your melanocyte is found in your stratum germinativum, and they produce pigment granules, melanin, that gives color to the skin. So this is, like I said, this is just like a recap of what we've learned so far from our textbook. So the basal cells are found in your stratum germinativum as well. They provide insulation from the absorption of mechanical forces. They provide insulation from the absorption of mechanical forces. You have your fibroblast cells. Your fibroblast cells are found in the dermal layer, and they provide structure by making collagen and elastin fibers. When you hear fibroblasts, you know that they're talking about collagen and fiber. Collagen and fiber. Collagen and elastin fibers. So the next one is Langerhans. Langerhans, you should know they have to do